So hopefully we'll get a few more people on here and we'll roll into it. Let's see. I'm trying to admit some people as they come in. And then we'll go. Just for context, this is, I'll call this the first Crush to Chaos event because the very first one, which was last month, it was myself, and you can see Justin Neagle in one of the squares. He and I just sat and riffed for about 30 minutes or so, just by ourselves. It was almost like a podcast format discussion, but it was fun. So thankfully we have a few more people joining this time, and we can roll into it. I'm going to attempt to share my screen so we have something to look at besides all of our wonderful faces, and then we'll roll from there. And I probably won't share like full presentation mode just because I don't think I need to. But I should be able to work with this. Get everything organized, and then we'll roll. We're up to 15 participants. I love it.
I'm trying to share it on all my platforms, get the friends coming.
Yep, trying to get them all to come in. So I see some familiar faces, some not familiar faces, so that's good.
Good blend.
Yeah. Give me a good view of kind of everything in here. That way I can track it all.
Well, so I'm seeing you almost after like probably 8 years, 8 or 7 years.
Raul, I think it's been more than that. I don't think I've seen you since we worked together at Sabre, which was
Like, did you come to
probably,
Vegas for CA World?
oh yeah, maybe a CA World.
Yeah,
But
I think that
even
was the
that
last
was like
2016.
8, 9 years ago, right? Yeah. Yes, it
Yeah,
has been. That's,
yeah.
I
I
was
went
thinking it
to
was more like
Australia after
10, but
that.
yeah, maybe 8 or 9. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So just for everybody else, Raul and I worked together for a couple years um, uh, with a software called Clarity PPM. Some of you might be familiar with that. It's a enterprise project or portfolio and project management software. So I'm probably gonna deny most of the note takers, just because I don't know if that person's really on or not. So I would prefer you to be on in person than just a note taker. Just so you guys know. But
How
I
do you know
will.
it's the real me?
What's that?
I was about to say, which one of you are AI? Like it's a test, right?
Yeah, who knows? That'll be the next phase of VO3, right? Instead of
I mean,
spending
there's an app
$5 to
right
make a 30
now
second.
It exists.
called Bueller
Mhm.
that you can download, and it'll sit and nod along with a conversation on a
Yep.
multi-person team call. So if you're like on a call with more than 20 people, you could just have that Bueller image of you being like, yeah, pretty good. I love it. I love being here while you're sleeping or doing other things on your Peloton.
Yeah, or you're
But yeah, it's happening right now. People are avoiding work and human connection right now.
it is definitely happening. I tried that a long time ago. I did something close to that. I recorded myself when they allowed you to record your own backgrounds. I recorded myself sitting there and just like slowly nodding every now and
Yeah.
again.
See, Philip,
And then
ahead of your time.
I just put that on as my background and stepped out of the view of the camera, and it just
That's a
rolled.
billion-dollar idea. You could have scaled that and then eventually turned it into AI, but like just that service alone, I feel like people would pay good money for.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it could be on multiple meetings at once, which is
Right?
definitely a challenge.
Yes.
Oh, cool. You guys can see my screen, right? I didn't ask that when I
Yep.
shared, but awesome.
Yes.
Okay. So it's almost 10 minutes after. I'm just going to roll in and we'll go with the flow. This is essentially the first Crush the Chaos plan is to do these once a month, and essentially it is an event discussion style format. So I'm going to go over a few things. I do have a few guests on that have specific expertise in certain things. I'll introduce them as we go through the slides. But the point of this event is to bring people together, kind of try to educate each other a little bit on what we're doing in the automation AI space, how we're kind of keeping ourselves organized and moving forward so that we can keep up with the hockey stick curve that is AI and automation right now. Basically, the chaos has become, reality. I don't know about you guys. My email, I get 1,000+ emails a day, and going through those is a pain in the butt. But the I just have somebody do it for me now. So that's awesome. But I would like to automate it so that it can categorize and put everything into nice little buckets so that when I want to look at the marketing emails and go through and see who's trying to sell me what I can, when I want to go look at the events that I'm being invited to, I can do that. Or in case I'm actually waiting on an email from somebody, I can find that as well instead of having to use the search feature, which if you all use Outlook, doesn't always work amazing. And if you use an online like Gmail or one of the others, you have to make sure you're looking through all the folders and not just the inbox. Basically, hopefully today we'll have some idea of something to automate if we haven't already automated everything in our business, which I'm doubting anybody has. So I threw together just a quick little overview of like what I think an automation blueprint is. Basically, in your company, you're going to look and diagnose where you're at. Same as if your car was, not running right. You want to diagnose what's wrong with it, see if you can find a solution to fix it. And then the next step is figuring out, okay, now how do I fix it? Who can I find to do that? How can I automate that aspect of it so I don't have to do it manually anymore? And then you need to activate that, basically take action. I'm sure you all know plenty of people who talk about doing things all the time, but all of a sudden you look at them at a deeper level and they're just talking about doing those things, I have a friend that's always talking about the latest and greatest N8N automation that's coming out, which is a workflow automation tool. I asked him the other day, I said, how many of these have you actually used? He's like, well, I haven't really done anything. I'm like, okay, well, you have to activate it. If you're going to do it and automate it, you have to actually do it, take that action. And the last step when you actually do it is then you optimize it to make sure that it's doing exactly what you want it to do. You get the outcome that you're expecting. And then, yeah, I like that, Noel. It's be a doer, not just a talker.
One of my core values is don't just talk about it, be about
Yeah, there
Nice.
you go.
it.
Love it. Love
I
it.
see you.
So a little bit about me. We'll just kind of run through. Um, I had a little fun with AI. So I took like my little blurb that I usually have about me and I ran it through AI and said, just create a engaging intro for me. So it decided that I am the system strategist. Basically, when your ops are on file, oh look, it's my meeting. basically when your ops are on file, I don't grab a hose. I just rebuild the engine so that it doesn't overheat again. So, about me, I'm a co-founder of a company called Inertia Advisors. What we do is we help small to medium-sized businesses, usually in the 2 million to 20 million range, create systems and create automations so that they can focus on what they do best. I'm also founder of Blue Pit Incorporated. That is my corporate consulting company that's been around for probably 15 years now. Basically helping large corporations integrate software and create automations within the specific category of portfolio and project management. That is the company that I met Raul through. So I also have a mission to take these companies and transform them into organizations that run smoothly and not the chaos that we can often see in different departments and in different uh, um, whole companies. I've done this is a guesstimate, 100 plus turnarounds. I think AI embellished just a little bit on that, but we'll go with it. And those have been companies from, Fortune 100 all the way to like startups that have like got their maybe Series C or D funds, and they're kind of established and they're ready to organize everything. The typical profit take back is 20 to 40%. And then, as I mentioned, I do AI driven workflow automation. Not always AI driven. It can just be workflow automation. Not all of it has to be AI. And also, I work with a portfolio project management software called Clarity PPM. I am obviously the creator of Crush the Chaos, which is a discussion style event series. And I do have a book that I'm trying to finish. It's a chore, but I'm going to call it The Ghost CEO. At least that's the title for now. Don't hold me to that, but we'll see how that goes. And then that book is kind of a track on how to remove yourself from the day-to-day of your business. So the next person that gets to go, look at Noelle.
Look at me. Hello.
I would put you on stage, but I'm not sure how to do that.
Oh,
I
that's all
think
right. I'll just talk and then it
you
like
can just
auto stages me.
yeah. So the AI decided that you are the AI revenue
I like
alchemist.
it. I like it. That's not
Yeah,
terrible. If
yeah. If
AI.
AI had a Hall of Fame, look at that. You would already have your own wing.
Okay, I'm liking this AI. It's my friend. Big believer. That's awesome.
I'll let you take it out. You see what's on the screen, but I know you
Yeah, that's
have
cool.
you have a obviously deeper knowledge of yourself. So
Yes, absolutely. Well, super excited to be here, and I'm glad. Yeah, I wanted you all to have like that first beta version of this where you could just get to know each other more than you already did. So I'm glad to be here for V2 with all of you nice fellow people. My journey into the world of artificial intelligence specifically started about 11 years ago. I was a principal cloud architect at Amazon and got a chance to join a brand new team, which was Amazon Alexa. Back before anyone was buying it, anyone thought it was cool. It was actually I was the one driving a lot of the adoption and implementation, and it was a lot like vegetables to kids back then. Like, this is good for you, and you'll like it, and you should eat some. But nobody really wanted to. So I'm really excited now to have an opportunity in the world where I can shave up responsible development, responsible scaling of these systems. I can kind of cut it up into little pieces, fold it up in brownie batter, and serve it as cupcakes to people. So that is kind of what I do today. My focus, which is why I love that it said the AI revenue alchemist. That's awesome. How intuitive of this model. But today I am a seller at heart. I'm an engineer first. I built over 100 applications in the first year of Alexa. They're called skills, but they were AI, NLP, natural processing applications. But it was interesting because at that time I owned about 10% of all apps on Alexa at one point. I even got a t-shirt. Like that's how they paid me, in t-shirts and stickers. But I got a t-shirt that said I own 10%. I was like, that's it, I've made it. But what I realized was that most people don't really know how to build or scale AI systems. And the number one thing that I like helping people scale is revenue. When you start making more money and generating more revenue, all of a sudden these ideas of cutting costs and, you know, cutting people, you now need more people than ever. And you need to help those people help you grow your business bigger than you've ever thought. And I've done that for hundreds of businesses now. But it is a really cool time to help people achieve the dream of nine figure businesses with the power of AI without having to necessarily build a nine-figure staff to go along with it.
Definitely. Awesome. Thanks, Noelle. I will see. I tried the spotlight thing. I don't know. Did it work?
Yeah, I
Noelle,
think so.
did it
I was
work? I think the
green.
spotlight. Awesome.
It
I
did.
should, yeah, I should stop talking though, because then I keep getting green. So, okay, bye.
We'll go back to, let's see. Next, we have Justin Neagle. He is the profit protector, according to AI. Your IT should mint money, not misery. Justin makes sure of it. There it is.
Yeah, I love that. I should change my actual title to that. Maybe that makes sense. My actual title is Chief Storyteller, which is, I think that's pretty fun. But Profit Protector, that's where it's at. Yeah, so work in the IT and cybersecurity space to help people make sure that they're secure and they're operating efficiently with their IT. Also, a co-host of Building Scale, which is a podcast, top 5% podcast globally. Where we talk to leaders and see how they've built scale by using people, process, and technology. So that's a lot of fun. Let's see what else we have here. Bleeding cash from tech chaos. Yeah, so a lot of soft cost loss. That's a big thing that we talk about all the time with our clients, and where there are areas that even before automating, like even before we get to AI and that, like there's just places where it's like your stuff isn't operating just to the normal standard efficiency, like you're just so behind. And we get lots of questions about AI where it's like, oh, well, are you even ready for AI? Like, is your system, are you even in the realm of being ready for that? So happy to talk a lot about that. And yeah, spot migration, we serve companies pretty much across the whole country here in the US. And it's been a lot of fun over the last 8 years of building that business.
Cool. Thanks, Justin.
Mhm.
Let me see. We can kind of like managing this thing. I feel like I'm going to be like a Zoom administrator now. So next in line, we have Jem Thornton, who is the alignment architect. When your company's gears grind instead of glide, Jim's the mechanic you call. I'm not sure where I got the mechanic part there, Jim, but I think, can roll with it, right?
Yeah, we can roll with it. Yeah, I dropped the mechanic piece a while ago. But yeah, no, it's interesting what that came up with. Yeah, I'm an EOS implementer, and my trek to getting there actually probably started because I did not want to be an attorney like my dad because of all the long hours he worked. So in my infinite wisdom, I decided to go into technology so I could make that a 24/7 type of job. Did not know that was coming when I made that choice. And so my journey ended up taking me to consulting, and I've worked with definitely over 100 different companies throughout my career, mostly entrepreneurial based type of companies, all sorts of projects. And during that time, the alignment thing was something that stood out to me. I started to see what was going on with these projects, missed deadlines, repeating the same year over year because you weren't really gaining the traction, no pun intended, with where I'm going on that. And I was seeing what happens in these companies when the vision is not clear and the gears aren't in sync to execute. I was fortunate to end up in 2 companies as CTO where we implemented something called EOS, which stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. which is basically a business operating system to help reduce the chaos in your business. And this simple, proven system really helps leadership teams to get what they want out of their business. Now, I happen to have a CTO background, been in technology for about 30 years, and my last couple years in that role was seeing AI make its way into the contact centers, see it make its way into the legal space, and we were starting to get full on with it. And it happened fast. With all the disruptive things I've seen over the last 30 years, this one just came full on. And I can see where companies are experiencing chaos, trying to figure out what to do with it. And EOS is a great tool to help manage that at the leadership team level. So look forward to the rest of the discussion.
Awesome. Let's see. We'll remove the spotlight here. So if you remember the 3 steps, the first one is diagnose and design. So as you guys know, now we have a very, very knowledgeable set of speakers, panelists, if you will. And the first thing would be like uncovering your single point of failure. Like, where do you have something that you know is the bottleneck because you're doing it every day, every day. You get up in the morning, you're like, oh, God, I got to do this again first, because if I don't do this, all of my customers are going to have a problem, or all of my, I'm going to get all these calls. That's the first thing you want to go after, obviously. And then I think it's the average company has around 120 different software tools that they use in their stack. And that's just an average. I think it's probably a little bit higher, but just imagine if you only had 10 or 20 in your software stack that did everything. Like, hopefully that's where we're going with automation and AI. We can get it kind of down to a small set of software that kind of does the majority of everything in different areas. Almost like you have only a handful of departments. Maybe there's a software that specifically runs that department with a human, of course. I don't want to let the software run the whole thing. But that would be one thing that might be cool. So if you could think of a bottleneck point in your company, that may be your tech stack. It may not be, but it may be something that you have to do every day or submit a report every day. That's kind of what I was thinking of when I was thinking about like diagnose and design. What just kind of putting it out there, like what is one area like Noelle or Justin or Jim that you guys see is maybe that single point of failure that causes chaos in a lot of the companies you look at?
Justin, you go first, and then I'll be right back to go after you.
Sure, sounds perfect.
I got like a Father's Day gift that just arrived at the door. I gotta go steal it before my husband sees it. So you do that. I'll be right back.
Understood. One big place where we see it happen all the time is when you have different departments that need to interact. And a lot of times they have different softwares that run each of those departments. So say sales has a CRM, but accounting has QuickBooks, or sales has a CRM and service has a completely different ticketing system. That's a place where there's always chaos because it's communication, right? So communication is going to be a big root to a lot of chaos, because I think and this is just in life, if you solve communication issues, you solve 90% of problems. Like in your life, like just think about that with your kids or your family, obviously in the business. So that's a big place where I see there's always a rub when it's like two systems that don't talk to each other, have no true integration, and they're both working out of these, religiously, and then they don't cross over.
Okay.
I would agree. I did get it.
Did you want to hit that, Noelle, or you want Jim to chime in?
I mean, it's up to you, Jim. If you want to go too, I'll jump in whenever.
Yeah. It's from a chaos audit standpoint. when I think about my own history, I would go to accounting and I would sit with the CFO or the controller and just ask them, what are you not getting from operations? And the reason for that is they are having to track the money and do the invoicing and everything. And they see so many things that are broken that the rest of the organization does not even know exists.
Right.
And so I would say that is one place that I would go, because they're trying to usually combine 2 to 10 different data sources to bring things together, and they're just seeing things that are broken all over the place.
Yeah, I can build on that because I agree with actually both of you. But and in the same vein, we do a process called an AI impact assessment when we go into companies. And when we do this, basically what that means is that we look at what the humans are currently doing. We just kind of watch for moments of friction. We watch for their body language. I mean, it's very much anthropomorphic work. We're kind of looking at the human experience, and those humans will often, when they get to exactly the point you're talking about, Jim, when they're talking to systems that don't communicate well, or the data isn't mapped correctly, or it's just old, their whole body changes, their interaction changes, they get frustrated, impatient, they leave early, come late, like disengage from the company. All of these things start to show up in the people that we work for, and you can see it just by watching them. Another thing, though, that we have done is we also know, just like you were saying, Justin, there are places we already know that there's friction. And one of those friction points is definitely in the area of sales. Like, I go into organizations, and this is from Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, Google, all the way down to startups that are just trying to sell t-shirts on the internet. They all struggle with the same thing, which is, how do I go to market? And in a world today, like, that friction point is more easily solved than ever, because I don't need to go and recruit a bunch of users to tell me, hey, what do you want? Like, I can leverage a model that's trained on even my past customers that'll tell me what they've bought in the past. The number one way to sell more stuff is to just sell the stuff that you've already sold really well before. And we kind of lose track of that as we start, growing and scaling and thinking about AI. Everyone thinks about these big, huge ideas. And I'm like, well, or you could kind of go towards the least sexiest thing you could do with AI, right? The things that we maybe would automate in a more traditional sense. Now, all AI does is allow us with automation to actually go and actively grab data that supports those automations. But we don't have to do it as humans, right? We can ask a machine, hey, based on the data you see, go get additional information to support this, or go talk to this other system to corroborate the story, or just document what's happening when you watch a human doing a workflow. I think most people tend to over index on complexity when it comes to these new technologies like artificial intelligence. And the reality is these technologies can just help us do everything we already do pretty well, even better.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think I like the communication point, Justin, where people tend to have. So communication is one of those really weird things, because the way that I communicate, I may be trying to say the same thing that you're trying to say, but Noelle may not understand it either from either direction. Like, she may think something totally different. So getting that communication alignment is important, and I don't think that can really be done automated or through AI unless you have a system in place. You know, which is kind of where, I guess, where you come in, Jim, with the EOS. Like, you want to make sure that everything looks and is organized, but it just kind of, I guess the biggest place that I've seen the bottleneck, at least what I've been exposed to in corporations, looking at tons and tons of corporations do project management, right? Is getting everybody to agree on how the project is managed from ideation to completion. Because when you start putting everything into one succinct system, then you start realizing, like Justin said, what communication areas are we breaking down in? Or like Jim said, finance doesn't want to see it that way. They want to see it some other way. How do we get the information out so finance can see it the way that they've always seen it? Or does finance need to change? Little
Yeah,
secret, finance usually has big pants in companies, so um, that's hard
I
to do.
to that point, two things. One, we run an EOS, so Jim knows all about essentially how we run. But one of the concepts is same language, right? You got to use the same language across the company, right? Because just because it means something to one person, it can mean something completely different to another. So you have to, standardize, right? On hey, this is the term we use when we're onboarding a client. That's the term. Like that's the term we use because that streamlines communication. And we see this when it comes to process all the time, where it's like if you don't have that process built and there's not a same language, there's not a standardization of things, it becomes very difficult to implement the technology side because you don't have a process. Everybody does it differently. And I know Noelle could probably speak, to the ends of time about how it will never work if you don't actually have process. And process can be a pain in the ass, but the process is actually the thing that sets you free in a business. It's like in your life. If you have more structure in your life, you just generally are going to be more free, even though it doesn't seem like that would be the case. So yeah, that's my thought there.
Yeah, with my experience as CTO, and this ends up leading into US, like you said. Um, this is a general statement. I've never really seen technology alone ever improve anything. And the only thing I've really seen technology do at the base is simply magnify what's there. And so if something's bad, if you really want to screw it up, add technology to it. If something's good and you want to make it great, add technology to it. But you have to go back to what the root of what is going on first and really deal with that. And one of the things I started to arrive at was if you want to implement something new, take two things away. And so if you want to do something new, you got to go back and make sure you're taking two things away, because otherwise you just keep adding to this whole chaotic thing that's going on. And so from an EOS standpoint, though, my specialty really is in the entrepreneurial world, and let's just define that as 10 to 250 people in a company. Every department's underfunded, every department's understaffed. You're trying to do as much as you can. AI is coming into this, and I started to see it happen where the chaos started increasing. Everybody just started doing more stuff. Nobody knows how all this stuff's tying together. And basically, all these large corporations basically created their own AI agents, and the leadership team is sitting there like, what the heck is going on? And because it started appearing in Adobe, it started appearing in Office 365, it started appearing, every stinking app started releasing all these tools at one time, and people started playing with them. And so I'd never seen anything break out like this before in this space. From a leadership team standpoint, if you have no process of regularly communicating as a leadership team, especially when it starts getting down to the weekly level, it is just going to be more chaotic for you. And so when I started to see AI taking over, and I was sitting in a car next to a business associate and they start talking to their phone like it's a person and start having this communication, that really impacted me. And I had to step back and just say, okay, what's going on here? Because this is getting ready to, this is disrupting everything. And so from a leadership team standpoint, I saw that something like EOS as an operating system needed to bring together that leadership team to be able to filter everything going on And if you want to get better, you've got to get better from the human aspect at the same time, and making sure the leadership team is on the same page with everything that's getting ready to happen. And so even more so, having an operating system and a system of belief, a same system of communication, like same language, like you said, I think is even more critical with what is going on. And I fully believe the companies that are going to survive are the ones that really get equally as good as the human connection as they are with the AI technology.
Yeah, I definitely.
Noelle's got a whole sort of stuff, slew of stuff.
She's like waiting to go. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on mute.
It's because I didn't want to like jump in because you're right, Jim. I was like, what that? No, I'm just kidding. I actually agree 100% with what you're saying. I started a company called the AI Leadership Institute in like 2016. And I did it not because we were worried about like AI systems. It was because it was going to take a whole new type of leader. And that these leaders that we are creating, preparing, that the EOS actually supports are now not only are they going to have to lead humans, but they also have to lead machines. And when you lead machines, I mean, this is not some big AI in the sky. Like, this is not an AI that happens to you. Like, AI is very specific, it is very much intentional. You will build systems, hundreds of them, thousands of them, dare I say, Satya Nadella, millions of them that are going to support what you do every day, right? I'm sure you all have heard that there's going to be a single person unicorn, billion-dollar company. And the only way that that's possible is if we use these machines to facilitate that. But it also, the only way that that's possible is if a human knows how to manage those machines, orchestrate those machines. And at the end of that, it doubles down on what you both were saying, which is process. Like, you will have a process. Without that process, those machines won't know what to do, won't know how to do it, and ultimately will fail you. And you won't even know they're failing you until it's too late. So I actually 100% agree with what you're saying. I do, though, am optimistically, maybe rationally optimistic about the fact that AI will actually accelerate all of us and could do that right now, right? I have a 7-figure company and I'm the only employee. So I know that AI can do things that many of us are maybe a little hesitant to jump into because of what we hear in the media, because of the concept of hallucination and confabulation. But those things are only true for public models. When you take a step back and you actually own the model implementation, you put it in your infrastructure, you own the truth, you own the fairness, you own the customer, the way the customer interacts with it. I think a lot of these assumptions start to change.
Yeah, well, the hallucination thing I think is pretty funny.
It can be. It can also
yeah.
be very scary.
Well, I think it's yeah. Well, I think it's funny because what we've done is said AI is hallucinating. And if I'm to go back and replay all of my experiences, the people were hallucinating before AI came along.
100%.
Like literally everybody's making up stuff in their head on what they think is true and what is happening in the field. So when you have to tie together all these systems, and I know Justin probably sees this because I saw him laughing, is he goes, you start going into all these departments and the departments tell you what's happening and you realize they're living hallucinations.
Yeah.
That's right.
They're in their own box. They've got no idea what's happening in the other
I
department.
actually have this term that I use. It's in, I recently wrote a book called Scaling Responsible AI because of exactly the challenges we're talking about. And one of the biggest, in the very, again, the second chapter, right after my intro, I'm like, IA before AI, information architecture before artificial intelligence. And that kind of stems in what we're all kind of saying the same thing. You have to know how your business operates. You have to know what its core values are, where it gets its data, what is truth, right? What is profitability? What is value? Like, those are all very human. And I think goes to the communication side that you were talking about, Justin, right? Like, we have to know how to define that and clearly articulate it as humans before we can enlist machines to do that work for us. And I do think we are getting it a bit wrong across the board because people aren't asking those questions. They aren't saying those things. They are jumping in going, I have a little analogy I use. It's called baby tigers. So all these little models are like little baby tigers. Like they're so cute and adorable and they do cute things. But no one's really asking like, wow, baby tiger, what about those paws? How big are you going to be? Or razor sharp teeth. What are you going to eat? Where are you going to live? What happens when I don't want you anymore? Nobody wants to ask those questions. They just want to be like, but it's kind of cool and it says cool things. So that's kind of what the hype cycle is doing to us right now. But that's why I think conversations like this are so important, because the reality is that business doesn't change very much. It just goes faster, either in a positive way or, like you said, Jim, in a very negative way. In either case, it's just going to go badly.
I think one thing that I've noticed with the process, like, having to, try to build an agent or try to just get AI to do anything. You have to have process. You have to have, really thought through things. And I think people, or at least leaders that we've talked to, are realizing like, oh shit, my people need the same thing. Like they needed the same thing that I've not actually given to them, which has done them a disservice. And now it's like their eyes are open, like, oh my God, of course I'm not getting the results I wanted from my people because I can't articulate to a robot what I want. So naturally, this is becoming an aha moment, which I've seen kind of across the board, which I feel like is now, and I'm sure this makes you happy, Jim, is really shooting the idea that like process is so crucial and we need to have process. And that means not only just for AI, but also process built for our people to do their jobs.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it really boils down to, if you cannot accurately, effectively communicate the process in which your company runs on, how do you ever expect to automate it or AI to even understand it? So
That's right.
that's where I love that you said communication, Justin, because that's what it's all built on. And it's like, I don't know how many of us on here are parents, but it's like a child. You have to know how to teach them the right way, because if you teach them the wrong way, they'll do it the wrong way every time. So you have to teach them the way to do it. Yes, there may be some things that they can learn from others along the way, but essentially, if you own the model that you're training, you train it the way that you want it to be trained and the way you want your company to be run in that ideal world, in that ideal process, right? And
Yeah.
not everybody has the same process or even the right process. And sometimes you don't know your process is not right until you get halfway down the road and your tire falls off. But then you figure it out, you get back on and you change, right? So,
And there is always this concept of bias, right?
yeah.
When you're training your model, when you have some certain corporate goals, you're biased, right? So where do you draw the line where you have the right soul for your data model, right?
Mhm.
You will be always overfitting if you're biased.
Yeah, and you can see the bias if you ask the same question to ChatGPT, to Claude, to DeepSeek, to whatever Mistral, whatever other LLM is out there. You can see that they're going to give different answers based on the way that they were trained. And
Yep.
you'll see bias in each one of those models just because they weren't trained at the same information at the same time and at the same speed.
In
And
fact,
and who
all,
asked the question also is biased, right? So if I
Yeah,
ask the question and you ask the question, same
yeah,
model, very different answers. Like
exactly.
that is how that works.
AI is kind of redefining the concept of bias, right? How do you define bias, right? Uh, Anything with their interest is a bias, right? And like it goes going back to our historical values, morals, and everything else, right? What's the right way and what's the wrong way of doing things? Again, it's still kind of like emerging and evolving, I would say. There's no one right way, I would say. But again, you're seeing growth, right? All the feedback it's giving and everything else. So it's all like, I would say, over engineering things and over automation. We have to draw the line somewhere and kind of grow with the system, not let the system grow us into it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's if you equate it to, I mean, I'm going to date myself, but if you equate it to technology in general, you know, back in the day, I'll say there was no cell phone. Now we can watch videos and video conference and do things. Heck, if we have a watch, we can even act like Dick Tracy and have a video call on our watches, right? So it's going to advance. The only difference between the way that like cellular technology advanced and computers and cellular combined is that AI is going about 100 times faster, if not
Yep.
more. So we've just created that curve, but that curve has taken an exponential turn. And this is what we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. If you guys look at YouTube every day, there's a new thing out every day. You know, oh, we did this, NVIDIA did this, we made the chip smaller, we made it faster, we figured out a new way to do this. So
If
it's exciting and terrifying, but for those of us who like to do things and see the innovation and really try to dive deep on it, it's fun. So
Like, I work with the government on AI and everything. I work for DoD, and what we are seeing, what we started as the foundation for AI, becomes obsolete by the time we are ready to deploy. So things are changing so fast, right? It's constantly evolving. So again, going back, as Jim mentioned, like it's a collaborative approach. It's a co-bot, I would say, human and automation, right? And like you cannot, like the whole concept, the general public has the concept wrong for AI. They use it like a Google search engine, right? They only know the LLM interface. They don't know what's agentic AI. How can you use AI as agents?
yep.
And like they're just seeing an interactive UI where it brings back answers to them. That's all they know. But I think as people get more educated about AI, and we can transform this thing into much more, I would say,
Right now
useful.
we're only one level deep.
Yeah,
So
I would
Yes.
say we are just
Yes.
scratching the surface.
and
Yeah.
companies and you know we're the discussion here is obvious that companies are even having challenges grasping the one level, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So
Right. Exactly.
we
I'm
can
gonna,
get go ahead.
oh yeah, I'm gonna, I'm gonna end up teeing up a softball for Noelle here, I think. But I'm gonna, I'm, I gotta make sure I go back to my EOS persona because I can be over in the CTO side. Um, is Raul had said something about people. Um, if I'm thinking like an EOS implementer and you're integrating EOS into your company, that's even more so that everything you're automating is based on what people are thinking and who they are. And so if you're looking at your existing company, imagine everybody's doing what they're doing today at 1,000 miles an hour and say, does that scare me? Or is that awesome? I got a feeling most companies going to be, and owners going to be like, that scares the living beepity beep out of me that all of a sudden these people have access to AI and it's going 1,000 miles an hour. So at that point in time, if I'm following the EOS model or you've got some other system you're using, I'm going to be going back up to what's my core values? Where am I headed long term? What's this thing got to look like in 3 years? And I'm having to even change how I'm looking at that so I can ultimately make sure I've got the people I need in the right positions to do the AI stuff so that when we get to like boots on the ground, automating and activating, I got the right people executing this whole thing.
I even think there's an extension to that. So I was recently on stage at RSA and in the speaker room, we had like the CISO, the chief security officer at Anthropic and Meta and OpenAI. We had the head of startups at Amazon. Like they were all just having a conversation. I'm just listening, like, what do you, I don't like talking to people really. I like being on stage in front of a lot of people, but I don't like one-on-one very much. So I'm just listening, being a nerd on my computer, and I'm hearing them talk about this, this idea. And it's not an idea that right now they have reorganized their human resources organization to do what you're talking about, Jim, right? Like to really understand what humans they currently have working for them and intentionally build AI systems that complement that human work. And so they're agentic, they now have an agentic org chart that mirrors maps like, what is that Ikigai kind of thing, right? Like now it's not just what you do well and what you love to do and what the world needs, but what can an AI system help you amplify? Like that becomes a lens upon which HR is going to look at each individual. So now we're even more interested in people who can communicate well, who have clarity of thought, who are uniquely skilled in a domain. So many of my, like when I get on stage, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, my kid's in computer science. Are they going to like die? Like, are they going to ever get a job? And I'm like, maybe computer science is, I'm a computer scientist, so I'm a big fan of that profession. However, it's only as good as my understanding of an area in which I apply computer science. That's why I'm an applied scientist. Like I apply it to healthcare and retail. So, and psychology and anthropology. So I do think that the world of work will transition to really allowing our employees to get much more specialized in a domain of expertise in our organization. And then we will amplify them. We will say, when you get hired, you may never get another human reporting to you, but you're going to get these 6 agents and you're going to own their job. You're going to own what they're going to report against. You're going to own their goals, just like you would a human, but they're going to be machines. And so I don't think we're too far off. But like you said, I do think core values, you had mentioned this, Raul. I really appreciate you bringing that up because it's the number one reason why AI projects fail, because they have no idea what success looks like. And success is tied to those values.
Yeah, I think you just went there because that's where I was gonna go with it. Is I had somebody suggest something, and I think you just said it. Is when we go build an accountability chart, a great way to start looking at it now is to keep the seats there, but call it AI Steve and AI Sarah. And what are those functions, and start living there now. That's where I think it's probably going. Even if it doesn't go there, it's like, why not just do it and see what you come up with? Because I know we're in technology, I was already doing this basically. And that's the whole world of the fractional type of thing. I couldn't source a department anymore. I had to go get a fractional person, and I didn't know who it was all the time.
Right.
And so I basically was like doing a physical AI thing.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of used to it, but I really think that's what's going to happen. And the way for people to process, at least for a period of time, is going to be to call that AI an actual name and what's it responsible for. And you may, like you were saying, you may give it the top 5 roles. You may also give it the characteristics so that when you're using it, you know what you're expecting that to be. But I think we got it.
And we're there now, right? Microsoft at Build just a couple months ago announced that in Entra, in their Active Directory, they've now created a domain for agents so that they can appear in Teams and in Slack as human-like things, but they're actually going to be machines. So exactly what you're saying, it's there, it's happening. And I always say, like, if Anthropic and OpenAI and Meta are doing it now, we're like 6 to 12 months away from it permeating, like you had mentioned, like shadow IT into the rest of these companies. And it will be our job. You all mentioned it. Like, we're going to have to just educate people like this. And it's the good news is we're not educating them on AI. We're educating them on what a business needs to be. And it's even more important now than it was before.
Yeah, we just the specialization that you hit it right on the head, Noelle. We have a salesperson in our company. They're a great closer, horrible with relationship development. Just not good at it. we don't want to remove them because they're closing at a 40% rate. Why would we ever remove that person? However, that part of the job that they are just not good at, like they're, for one reason or another, it's like, oh, well, now we just put in place an AI agent, right, or a couple of them that can do these roles that are just part of the big role of a salesperson. You say like, oh, like you're not great of getting contextual emails, right? Like you're just not good at like trying to figure that out. Oh, well, you can do that now through AI. Or oh, you're not good at a follow-up segment, right? Obviously, some of that stuff is automation in comparison to AI, but like those are things that what we found is like, oh yeah, those roles that you have a piece of it that you're really good at, but like some of these other parts, these other roles in that position or the other tasks in that position, you're not good at. So instead of like, oh, get you out of the way or put another person and break up the role and do all these things, it's like, let's just stack on AI. And somebody mentioned Steve, the AI bot. We're currently building marketing, and we call it marketing assistant relationship knowledge is essentially was what we're going for. And the same concept where it's like, there are pieces that like we just aren't able to do with the people that we have. So it's like, okay, instead of just trying to find somebody, let's build this out isn't a full structure of multiple agents that go into one agent that then can make somewhat decisions and then obviously overseen by a human.
Yeah, and I think it's important to understand that there's a lot of fear around, is my job going to go away because of AI? But that's not even remotely at least how I see it happening. It's more, how can I not have to deal with that line at the bottom of my job description that says, and all other things that people want me to do, and just concentrate on what my specialty is. And maybe there's an AI that does those other things that, just happen to get tacked on to your job because you're there and kind of how to do it because you might have done it once or twice before. So it gives us opportunity
Yeah.
to be in our specialty and to do what we're actually creative at, right? Because anybody who does a job that they love to do, they are creators at that job because that's what they love to do. And that's the piece AI can't ever take, is that creation. So it just does all the other duties, right?
Like, I don't know how many people have taken Waymo rides in San Francisco, LA, and other.
Yeah.
It's a multi-agent system, right? And it's a functional system, right? You're going from point A to point B, safe, but it has its own flaws, right? And like there will be certain jobs which will evolve into um, such ecosystems, right? Driverless cars and probably radiology and things like that. But even in Waymo, there is always a human override. Like there's a human agent you can always invoke, right? And he can overtake the system, right? So there is always oversight. There is this human component which is always going to be there. As you said, the planning, design, um, I think even ideation, imagination, right? Essentially, even to build this AI agent, you need a human interface. And there is this new system coming up. The agents are going to build agents. So
Oh yeah, they already do. They
yeah,
just don't do it effectively yet. I mean,
like
depends on
essentially, it's the new word for microservices. Let's put it this way.
Yes,
Yep.
it is. You're right. I love it. I'm so glad you said that.
So,
Say it louder. People in the back. But yeah, I agree with you.
I've got a
so
question
that said,
for Noelle.
Phil, thank you very much. This was very useful. I need to drop off. It's
Okay. I'm glad you could join, Raul. It was nice,
Yeah.
nice to see you after 8 years. We'll definitely catch up later.
Yeah, I've been like I had a startup AI. My son came out of MIT. He went to Y Combinator, and
Yeah.
I think Justin, were you with Scale?
I was not. But it was probably my AI doubled it. That's
Okay. Yeah, so they're still working. He is also kind of actively involved. He is part of it, and I did my master's just to talk the talk and walk the walk with him. And end of the day, I see like this is just, we are scratching the surface, like as we all said, and this is
it's
going
just
to go
starting.
places. Yeah.
Yes. Rahul, keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I
Yes, I think just scratching the surface is the truth about that. And the reality of when you want to automate and finding the bottleneck, I really like going back to effectively communicating how you're going to run your business, putting that into an operating system, whether it's EOS or any other system, and then making sure you go down that road. Because Jim, you said something really important that I hadn't thought of before, and that's think about your employee. If you just put them on super speed, like 1,000 times faster than they're going now, and it made me think about like flying an airplane. Like no plane flies straight, right? It's always making micro adjustments along the way to get where it's going. And I think AI is that AI's got an issue with that it does fly straight and we won't want it to because it won't ever account for the important micro changes that we need to put in there for those paths that may change. So we don't really want AI to go in a straight path because I don't know, when you started your business, is it exactly the same now as it was when you first started it? It's probably changed a little bit, right? So that just made me think of that. And especially with like an employee, if you have one employee that's going 1,000 miles an hour, that's going to do, it can do one of two things or both. It's going to amplify what they're best at, and it's going to amplify what they're the worst at. So we need to understand how to amplify the best part and then find somebody or another agent to amplify the other part. So it's the best too.
yeah, I think historically growth has made this aha moment, right? And now it's just AI's
Yeah,
and faster, right? But
much faster.
when a company is growing, right? You go from maybe you're a single entrepreneur or a small partnership, and then you start growing. You hit that growth curve. You start realizing, like, oh crap, we're not really good at this, or oh my god, we have zero process for this, or oh my god, like how do we replicate that person or replicate these things? And it's like, oh yeah, you don't have any of that in place because now you're going too fast. That you now come to that aha moment, which we've certainly seen at Spot from time to time. Like, oh yeah, we totally don't have a process for this, so now we have to build one.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I noticed there's a few people dropping up, so I mean, as expected, we did not hold to the slides, which I didn't even think we would. I only had 18 slides and we were halfway through in like the first 10 minutes. So, but I did put together, for those that are still on and those that want to keep in touch, all of our um, LinkedIn.
nice.
So connect on LinkedIn with each other so we can make sure and keep the conversation going. Um, Not that I want to stop the conversation now, but the cool thing about this conversation is I want to have a conversation like this every month. Second Wednesday of every month, I'm gonna do this. So I've had a lot of fun on here so far.
Absolutely.
Me too.
I mean, yeah, not that our discussion last month wasn't fun, Justin, but this has been better.
Yeah, I completely agree with it. So full vote during those two participants.
Both
Yeah,
of
so
them
I'm
are awesome.
curious, Noelle. You leaked that you were in the room with the big guns. Any insights on what they're doing next?
I mean, so one of the things that came up was this concept of, hey, if you're going to build these agents, that there's this presumption that these agents would be employees and that I mean, granted, I'm in the CISO room, right? So this is security, accuracy, trust people. They're not asking the same questions as like a CTO would or a CIO would. So, but from that perspective, one of the things that I leaned in and asked a little bit more about was, like in this world, like how are these entities showing up in the company? And they had said that the presumption is that they'd be more like employees, but the reality is they need to be more like untrusted contractors, and that you
Right.
need to approach them from a zero trust mentality with least privilege. All things that are not new to us, like old school enterprise architect people. We're like, yeah, exactly. But it's funny what happens when people start using these AI systems. Like they throw all the things we've spent decades like building, and they're like, what do you mean? This isn't like every other software we've built. And they don't realize it's going to actually run in the exact same cloud architecture. It is, and Raul's not here anymore, but it literally is just another microservice, right? Like
Yeah.
all of these models just become services. So Kubernetes, Docker, like all these skills are still very much relevant. Creating a control plane, right, to manage these things, orchestrating. I don't know if y'all remember BPEL or business process orchestration. Like these are all now more important than ever. And we somehow think it's different. I think it's because there's so many talkers instead of doers. Like there's so many people coming into this space, like this is brand new. The amount of people that tell me there are no experts in this space. And I'm like, there might be experts in this space, not necessarily in the AI space, but in like in orchestrating, multitask orchestration. Yeah, there's a lot of people that do that right now. So I think it's a matter of really demystifying it for people and realizing AI, it's not this big AI thing out here. It's literally just a small piece of software that's going to be algorithmically driven, but it's still going to require a business process, a identification of its role in that process, a measurement of success for what it does. How do we know if it's broken? An audit process, a testing process, like all this is the same as we've been doing for 2 decades, at least in my career. So yeah, that I think was the biggest aha moment when I was listening to them, where they're like, we right now are struggling to just get people to shift out of this is AI and into this is just another really potentially dangerous thing we need to protect our organization from.
Yeah,
Right.
we that's the thing that we preach all the time, where it's, one, a lot of organizations data is not ready to become true AI. There's not. It's all over the place. Doesn't make it has zero concepts of different things. But we just interviewed somebody on the podcast that they started they called their AI journey 6 years ago, so 2019. And the first thing they did, governance. Like, what is the governance side of this? Like, what do you have access to? What do you not have access to? All of those things, and went through that. And today they have they're a fairly large GC out of Louisiana, and they have a tool now that is for estimating, which is huge. Like the massive value that they have in that thing is awesome. However, they started from like, where is data? Who has access to data? That is the ground level that needs to be talked about more, compared to like, AI is gonna save your business to do everything because it's Superman or woman, right? Like it's like that's not all. So totally spot on.
Yeah, that narrow focus.
Noelle, as you were saying that, uh, I was about to start cracking up because I was thinking through some of the scenarios where I've seen AI come in the door, and it seems like most everybody is losing all logic and reason, and all of a sudden their hottest crush just showed up in front of them and they can't think straight.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
the
was
woman in the
just-
red dress.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, baby
Yes.
tiger.
Totally tiger.
yeah, like for me, Christy Brinkley just showed up, and I'm just like,
I
yeah,
can't think straight. Yeah.
yeah, I can't think straight, and so they're literally
Forgot
just
your own
wanting
name.
AI to come in and just attach to everything, and it really is an emotional decision.
100%.
And where I go with that is to point out, why is it such an emotional decision? And there's things going on in employees that it's meeting some type of emotional need, and it's addressing some stressors going on and all sorts of things. But I do think I've seen very few logical, reasonable decisions being made on AI. It literally is like goo goo goggles got put on or something, and just out the door.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
that's
think
kind of what I do all the time. I'm usually brought in as kind of the precautionary storyteller, right? To tell people Like, I get it. I get you're excited about this. I get that it actually is a bit of a gap left by bad leadership, honestly. Like there's this gap because humans are like, wait a second, I have a model that's going to listen to me, that's going to respond to me, that's going to give me a pretty darn good answer when I ask it a
Yep.
question. Like, because we don't have humans that treat people that well, they are drawn to this like just enamored love that they can have for this product. But there are, for those, listening and interested, there are like we've got proof in the pudding now. We've been doing this a while. That we actually could, and Rahul almost mentioned it, but we do have leaderboards now for the top 200 models in the world. We know the ones that are more predisposed to racism, sexism, accuracy, truth. Like there are models that are built that care about truth and some that don't. And the reason that is because some models are built to help writers tell better stories. So they have to be more generative. And then there's those that are helping the NSA write better firewall rules, right? And so they have to be much more specific and much more grounded. But at the end of the day, it is a human AI experience that has to be designed. And the only one who can do that design is a human. Like that is our job, is to say, how is a human going to use this technology? And that I think is boiled down into the processes that we currently use. And most of them are broken, or they're not broken and we just don't implement them right. We don't implement them well. But I definitely see this at scale right now, where there are organizations that are doing this well. The government, actually, somebody was working in the DoD. Oh, it was Rule. But I've worked with several federal agencies. Like we're doing some really good work, but it is highly architected by a team of humans.
It's
Highly
well
architected.
well gated. Yeah, I'm one of my clients is government, and they have a system that's completely gated, but it's just like any other LLM when you use it. So it's and I think that's what companies have to get to, is they have to understand how they need to gate it, how they need to control it, and what they need to put in it so that their employees can have that same red dress feeling, but in a contained environment. Because I agree, not only will AI help satisfy the and all other duties, but think about I mean, we're a lot of techies here, so think about the time that you did something wrong and you don't want to tell anybody, but you can't figure out how to fix it and you need help fixing it. So now you can ask, AI to help you fix it and maybe get it fixed before anybody notices.
A trusted confidant.
Exactly.
Unless you're the
I think
leader
that's
who
the
tells
comfort.
people they can't use it, right? Like,
Yeah,
isn't that
exactly.
funny? Like, it literally could become the vehicle that lets people be more vulnerable about their mistakes and allows you to push less bugs into production. And instead, we're like, don't do that. Don't use that. You are in trouble if you use it. You'll get fired if you use it. If you're a student, you can't use it. Like, it's so fascinating, the human psyche, right? Like, of like, hey,
I mean,
this could actually make us better, but no, we're not going to.
there
No,
there are positives, and I mean, with a positive, there's always a negative,
always, yes. That's true.
but that's in everything. And just because we're concentrating on AI, we shouldn't lose sight that everything has a positive and negative side, right? I mean, you go drive your car, there's a positive and negative side. I mean, you could get out on the wrong side of the bed in the morning. It's a positive and negative side, right?
Yeah.
So it's just how we use it, how we train our employees to use it properly to the way that the company wants it to be used, and with the company information, and not to give away confidential information. Don't go to your personal laptop and type in all this stuff on ChatGPT just because you want to know like the answer to this question, but there's sensitive information in there. Um, but there is a way to generalize it and get the answer if you do, right? So I
Or
mean, I
just
just
build your
used
own
it.
Like that's
Yeah,
that's the answer. Is the answer
I
is
do
that
have
you
one of those
own it.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
actually, I have
then
a
you
question for
control what's in
Jim.
it.
Am I allowed to ask Jim a question? Because I
Uh,
feel like
Only if Jim wants to answer.
yeah, well, he's thrown softballs at me. I'll throw a softball his way, and he can choose. And Justin, of course, you could too. But it's an EOS question, because I find that there's one of the paradigms that I build a lot of these systems in is this nudging, not nagging kind of paradigm, where I'm not actually, AI isn't doing anything. It's simply taking something that we built that was very good, a system, a process, and just nudging the humans along to be like, hey, remember, this is how you said you were going to run your business. Like, hey, remember, this is the part of the process, right? Like a nudging type of system. Is that something that you are seeing, or especially with EOS? Because I mean, I was looking to see if I had this book in my bookshelf, but I'm just curious. Like that seems like a really good opportunity because I certainly could use a little nudge every now and then to the agreements I made when I committed to doing things a certain way as an entrepreneur. And then life happens, business happens, clients happen, and all of a sudden those, you know how it is, you drift from those intentions. And I just feel like this could be, if it's not already in development, something that would be super helpful because it's grounded in the EOS, philosophy and ethos.
When you say nudging, what are you talking about being nudged?
So let's say I'm creating documentation or not, or maybe documenting my deliverables or my OKRs, my key results, and I'm saying, oh, I got these key results. Is there like a system that could just be like, hey, love what you did there. Have you thought about it this way? Or, hey, remember, this is the way we kind of have committed to doing things. You're missing 3 of those 4 pieces.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, right? Where it's not going to help you do that work. Because sometimes I honestly am like, I don't need the help to do it. But sometimes I just forget what I should do. And so as an entrepreneur, I think it would be interesting to have that.
Yeah. So the EOS system is based on simplicity, and it's been targeted towards 10 to 250 people in an organization. But we see with less, and there's organizations with 1,000, 2,000 running on EOS and following that model.
And they grow.
The EOS system is designed to have that nudge, at least on a weekly basis. Are you on track or off track with the things that you all agree to do? So
Right.
that's happening. Well, it's happening for the people who use the system.
Right.
And
it's weekly, right? I mean, now we're in like
weekly.
real-time feedback.
Which is the real key, is weekly. That's the thing about EOS that helps you gain the traction in your business. If I put my CTO hat on and I say, hey, let's do this with technology, I've never seen anybody start doing it with technology when they weren't doing it without technology. Like I've never really see that start to happen until the leadership team in the company decide to say, this is the priority and this is what we're going to do. So really, I think it's an identity issue. Who are we as a company and what are we going to commit to? But where is AI then going to take it? If you can think of it, I think somebody's going to try it.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. And so for good or bad, I think we will definitely end up seeing some things with AI that is helping EOS to become more effective, just like you were talking about making people more effective at what their role is.
Yeah.
Traction V2.
One thought, we run an EOS. So for me, the first thought of nudging, I think of a level 10, right? So your weekly meeting, your 90-minute meeting every week. If that was ran more like on the money, like you are off track with a scorecard number. If you're off track with a rock, that gets dropped down automatically. That is going to be a top issue. Like there's no question about it. AI asking, being more pointed of questions, like, essentially being that integrator, or the integrator, right? So the I in that, because the I is essentially making sure everybody's doing the things they're supposed to be doing, right? You have V and controlling the V, right? But like essentially having that role have not necessarily no human, right? But like having more aid from an AI sense. And if that's based on using whichever software, if it's the EOS software or a software that runs EOS meetings like that, that would be intriguing. Now, how because now you're talking about like there's a lot of voice that you have the data, like there's like tons and tons to this, but that's super, super intriguing because I think that's where things eventually go, and where we're going to need to essentially everybody's going to have to be a data bank, right? Like it's like, because once you want to have like an engineer, like say a level 3 engineer, a level 3 tech, you start saying like, how do I get their brain into more process so I can train my level 1s? And then it's like, oh, well, you have to just follow. Like you just have to do everything with them all day. And the easiest way to do that is just literally how do you record everything they do all the time? But that's the data required for that, or the housing for that data is so massive. But I think that's where we eventually go. I don't know when that happens. Maybe Noelle, you know better than me, so
Yeah, I
you tell
mean,
me when that's the case.
It
again,
makes
I think
it
on a
makes you think of
technical,
it makes you think of an AI Scrum Master.
which we have now. I mean, I don't know if you've seen ClickUp. ClickUp has an AI Scrum Master, but it's different because you can't have an AI Scrum Master in the traditional sense because it's not a human. So instead, the Scrum Master is still the Scrum Master, still the engineering leader, still the glue that holds everything together, but they're not chasing people for all the things that they
Yep.
need, right? Now in AI that's the nudging part. Like
Yeah.
now an
Yeah.
AI is going to nudge you and be like, "Hey, I need to know like your story points for this week," or "Hey, I need to know like," and it's not, and here's the funny thing about like the way we're seeing, McKinsey did a study, like humans actually behave better in these like tedious requests from people. They'd prefer to get those requests from a machine, meaning they're less emotional about getting a request that says, I need this from you from a machine than they are if they get it from their boss or a coworker. Like
Yeah,
there's
for
this
sure.
little like thing that happens inside of us when somebody's like, I need this from you. And you're like, well, I'm not going to give it to you. Right.
We don't connect the emotion to it. Like
Right.
we're like, oh, it's
Correct.
a computer, it's got no emotion.
Exactly. And so we're like, oh, yeah, yeah, I'll get to it. And even if I get nudged 3 or 4 times, I still don't get irritated because it's not a human. So I feel like there is some choreography that we could
Oh,
do,
yeah.
but this is very much think big. I don't think anyone's really doing this well now, but I think there's huge opportunity because the human, I'm a TPM, a technical program manager at heart. I am the glue that holds lots of engineering teams together. And I'm very patient. But most people who have my role are not. I have 6 kids. So I have harnessed this like, how do that's why I like herd cats, herd
Mastery of
tigers. Yeah, yeah,
patience.
exactly. So I'm good at this. But that's a bit of a superpower for me. I would love to equalize what I do well to all of my TPMs so they all can get the same level of success. And I do think that some of that is like creating these little nudging systems. That way they're not doing the work, they're not taking away from human value or human enjoyment, but they are actually adding to the human enjoyment because I don't want to chase people and have them yell at me or roll their eyes at me or hold their hand up at me.
Yeah. If I was thinking about like the nudging, the automating, so to bring it back maybe a little bit to activation or automation and what to automate.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this today because of all the different disruptive technologies that have happened in the last 30 years or so. And because I do think AI is different. And because to me, every business is a 15-year-old away with an idea who can go to AI and just decide to try it. And so I came up with this idea, and that is if you're a business owner or a leader, go take a vacation, get on the beach, and mourn the loss of your business. And the reason behind that is because I do think that's going to happen. And so go and just like 3 years out, be sitting there and just imagine you have lost your business. What would you have done now? If you're looking back, what would you have done now to solve that? And I think if I was solving, like I've actually kind of thought about this, I was like, if I was going to start a business today, I would immediately go to something that is already proven and needed, and I would try to build it from the ground up with AI. That's how I would do it.
And it is
Uh,
like, I think it's faster now. I mean,
yeah,
right now, a lot of us are, we're just stuck to the way our baby, right? We're not going to call our own baby ugly by like replacing it. So we're stuck on the way we've answered this question. When people are asking, just like you said, people are asking this question for the first time, they're able to build it better, faster, having no baggage of holding on to. That's why I love the morning thing. That's a good exercise because letting go is going to be a huge part of innovating in the future
yeah,
because
it's
you're
the
going to have to let go of
fear.
all that.
Yeah, right now it's the fear that's preventing people from doing it. And
Yep.
so just go mourn and have the fear and
Yep.
flip the fear the other direction and be like, okay, I lost it. How do I rebuild?
Yep.
Like, just get past it.
Yeah, who was that? Tim Ferriss. I think he said fear setting instead of goal setting. Like just imagine the worst could possibly go. And then
Yeah.
once you're done with that, it frees you to actually try.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah, watching, because I've had a couple instances talking with some people who started doing chat GPT on stuff, and I saw what they were doing, and I was like, oh my gosh, like literally tomorrow, every business could a major change or disruption.
Yep.
And so I think it's a both and type of thing. When I think of AI, I actually don't. I think of AI as a huge opportunity. And if I'm looking at it like a game, I with my mindset, I believe I have a better chance of winning because I think most people will avoid it. And at that point in time, if you decide to embrace it, you've like I think to me the divide will just get bigger. I don't really think to me, if I'm guessing the way human nature is, it's not bringing everybody along. I think it's actually creating a divide, and the people who embrace it and just start playing with it now, experimenting, are going to be better off.
Yeah, it's the Blockbuster or Netflix. Like, and we know how it ends. Like, what
Yeah.
side are you going to be on? Before, I get it. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you did think it was a fad, but we know now how that story goes. And we still have Blockbuster people who are like, I see it. I understand it. I'm not doing it. And that is a divide. And I'm very sad about it because I'm like, but your whole company is gonna die. Like, and we know we watched it happen. But there will be people that will just let that happen because they can't take another hit, do another, what do they say? Like in the roller coaster, the waves of technology, right? Like some people in their lifespan have gone from like client server to web to like e-com to mobile, and they hit this AI thing and they're like, I'm kind of done. I don't want to do another wave. And I empathize with that.
With that was the other thing with what you just said right there is because I didn't know who was going to be on here. If you're 50 or 55, statistically from the stats I've seen, is those entrepreneurs who start a business, they have a higher success rate because of all their experience and stuff they've done. AI is actually a huge opportunity for people who are 50 to 55 to completely change their trajectory. It is like a huge moment in time. And I would be doing it now because you're going to get affected. And so this is your chance to just completely dive in before other people do. But I can see 50 to 55 actually having a bunch of fear about it. But I really look at it as like a huge opportunity.
Well, I look at it as I better do something now because I'm probably going to live 20 years longer than I thought I was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
This
I
has
got to
been
have
fun.
something to do for those extra 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, play with AI. I think that's
Yeah.
what the thing to do. I have to run. I've got another call. This was amazing,
Yeah.
though. Thank you
Thanks,
so
Justin.
much.
It was super fun. Nice to meet you. I'm sad I missed the last one, but maybe I'll join
Yeah.
y'all again if you let me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely happy to connect with anybody here. Always happy to connect and talk about whatever from AI to having a core purpose in your life. So totally across the board, I'm there.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Yeah, we are past the 90 minutes. I hope everybody took something away from this. I had fun. Noelle, Justin, Jim, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See you later.
Bye,
Nice to meet
everybody.
you guys. I'll stalk you